Good evening.
Hello, Charles.
Hello, hello, and good evening, Emma, our third voice. Welcome and good evening to latest ego of two big egos in a small car. And this evening we're joined by Emma Swan, who does not, I'm sure, possess a big ego, but we're delighted, Emma, that you will be joining us tonight. And two sort of reasons behind Emma joining us tonight. One of which is in the writing capacity with the novel coming up. But the second thing, with a kind of Yorkshire slant to it, I guess, Emma, is your involvement with Rotherham as a representative of Rotherham, Children's Capital of Culture. And I've got to hold my hands up. I wasn't aware of Rotherham's status as that, and maybe that's remiss of me. But perhaps you could initially, if you would, please, Emma, tell us how you became involved in that and why you became involved in that.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for having me on. So,
It's a delight. Thank you.
firstly, as you said, yeah, I'm from Rotherham, and I'm
Good starting point.
There we go, right? And I'm very proud to be from Rotherham. And so my first book, Cruiseship Kid, that is out at the moment and is actually, I'm delighted to say, Waterstone's Children's Book of the Month. So it's very
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But I am very, as I said, really proud to be from Rotherham, and therefore with this fun news that I couldn't really believe, one of the places, well, the main place really that I wanted to share it with straight away is Rotherham, because I am determined to try and inspire our next generation to maybe be the future authors or follow their dreams in any way. So I'm really excited to work with Children's Capital of Culture to hopefully try and encourage the next young minds to get reading, get writing, getting creative.
So that's a project throughout 2025, is that right?
That's correct, yeah. It's the festival year 2025.
I mean, it's interesting because, of course, I'm not saying it's running against Bradford City of Culture 2025, but it's interesting that actually, Yorkshire's got two festivals of the arts going on through the year at the same time. And I don't think there's a cross-pollination between the two. But in terms of what you would hope to attract with attention for Rotherham with this, because anything like this isn't just, it's not just for the benefit of Rotherham, although it's helpful to Rotherham, but it's to spread the word wider than Rotherham. So what do you see as the brief of the Children's Capital of Culture as? What does it bring to Rotherham, but what does Rotherham bring to it?
What a wonderful question. So the Capital of Culture is a whole year of imagination, creativity and community.
Yes.
I really like. And I think so. What do I bring to it, and what does it bring? Well, I firstly want to say, what do the children bring firstly? Because
very good point. Yes.
The most amazing morning. On the day, it was the day after my book was actually out. I went to Aston Library, and different children from Rotherham came along.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful. We did two events there. The different kids from around Rotherham. My mum used to teach in Aston. So many lovely links. But the kids were so engaged, so involved. Also, at the heart of my book is a pride for being Northern in Cruiseship Kid. So it's about a little girl who sails around the world solving crimes with over 80s. But the little girl is from Rotherham herself and has a very strong Northern accent.
Now, is this rooted in you yourself being a cruise ship kid?
It is my parents.
Where does a cruise ship kid live?
I guess, one of the children who's 8 asked me that the other day. They're like, but where's the real land home? Well, she Silver in Cruiseship Kid lives on the boat full time.
Right.
But me, myself, I did live on ships a lot as a child because my parents worked on board. Yeah. But my land home was Rotherham. And the thing that I hope to inspire the kids with Capital of Culture and for them to get from Cruiseship Kid is also a pride in how we sound. Yes. And this is something I was talking a lot about with the children at Aston Library, but Silver gets a little bit picked on for her accent because she says bath, path, grass like I do. And I haven't seen that very much in children's literature, a celebration of a strong Northern accent. Yes. So that's something that hopefully with the Children's Capital of Culture and my events and Cruiseship Kid itself, it will make any child, no matter where they're from, be very proud of that and never worry that how they sound might affect anything else in their life, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Graham, over to you.
Well, Emma's also been appearing in Horrible Histories on stage. And I was wondering, was the book Cruiseship Kid written before you took on that role in Horrible Histories or during that role?
That's it. Yeah, it was sort of during. I've been working with Horrible Histories now for about 2.5 years. We've done Terrible Tudors in the West End and touring around the country, and we're doing.
You come to York?
Where are we? Oh, our nearest to York.
Yeah.
We're doing Manchester and Birmingham Symphony Hall at Christmas, I think. But this summer, just in London.
Because Horrible Histories came up to York this last year, I think. I interviewed Neil Foster about it. So, yeah.
Brilliant. That'll be some of my other friends that have done the touring with
right, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
There's me rudely interrupting you mid-phrase.
I love hearing it. I was like, which this? Yeah, fabulous. I love York. But no, they're just so fantastic to work with. And it's such a funny company. And that, I think, as I was writing and working with Horrible Histories and writing Cruiseship Kid, it was brilliant to have the audiences of the kids because they're so honest with you. They're the best audience members because if they don't think something's funny, they'll tell you. That's brilliant. So I hope Cruiseship Kid, the children are finding funny, and that it's sort of my acting and working with them has definitely inspired the book.
Middle grade
I think if I was writing a book, especially a book for children, the best environment to get ideas would be to be a member of the cast of Horrible Histories. There's so many great ideas in that show and so much history and so many plots. It must have been fantastic when you're writing the book.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, the Terry Deary books I've read since I was tiny, and I'm actually going to be performing on the stage with Terry Deary in the summer. Some which I've never met him in person, so I'll be really fangirly. I think it'll be quite embarrassing.
Middle grade. Now, what age group is that? As I'm so old now, I've lost touch as to what middle grade is. What age group is that right?
So it's sort of key stage 2 sort of age. But
right, I still don't know what's key stage 2. I don't have children. You're going to have.
So I think the Cruiseship Kid is sort of 7+, but I've had some parents get in touch with me that are reading it for bedtimes to their 6-year-olds, but also I've been talking 7 to 11, because I've had some boys tell me they're loving it who are finishing primary school, starting secondary school. So it does span, because there are, I can probably show you on here as well, but I will say it out loud for the non-visual medium, but there are lots of spaces in it for children to interact with it and spaces to scribble in and quizzes and puzzles. And I think that's something that's working quite nicely because kids are like, you mean we can write in the book? And yes, the answer is yes.
Children's capital of culture, is there children, you can say, are up to 18, although 18-year-olds probably wouldn't like to be called children, but is there a specific age group that the capital of culture is aimed at, or actually is it as wide-ranging as being preschool to the full flourish of teenage years?
I think and this is my thought, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's to inspire, I know that they want to inspire all young minds. So I think there are lots of different types of events and things that are going on. The one that I had the other day was certainly more the primary end, but yes, I think it spans it, which is just so exciting, really. Yeah. And just how brilliant for Rotherham, I'm so proud to be from there, but I just think it's brilliant that Rotherham are going, let's, promote.
Absolutely.
Our next generation. Yeah.
Graham, your question.
Well, I have to come clean. I mean, in terms of children's books, myself and Charles, neither of us have kids. And also, neither of us is actually young anymore. So, but this is how much out of my depth I am. When I was a kid reading children's books when I was a child at school, I'd be reading like Treasure Island, Ivanhoe, King Arthur, Stig of the Dump, in Just Williams. This is
still
like
great
talking
books.
about the 19th
Still
century.
great books.
It's like I'm talking about Victorian times. So I can't quite get my head around modern children's literature. But I do think Emma's book is a huge amount of fun and it's packed with ideas. And it's not a slim little book. There's a lot to it as well.
Thank you. I think that it's such a good point that, because I've been speaking to a lot of booksellers on this tour, and some of them, say that certain parents love to recommend the books that they know from their childhood, and there's some of those just so fantastic. But it is nice to try and promote I think like I read quite a lot of middle grade. Like I love authors like Jenny Pearson and Sam Copeland, and I've no children, which as a 32-year-old woman, maybe that's quite embarrassing. I'll be on the tube or a bus reading a children's book, but no matter what the books are, I think there's quite a steep decline at the moment in like pleasure for reading with children, and that's something I'm extremely passionate about for the whole country to try and like get kids going. Yeah, I love reading actually again. And
yeah, they have to get off their phones though to do that. That's the thing.
It's true. And but then with my events, I've been saying things like, does anyone in this room like video games? Does anyone like interactive things? And then so I've got a couple of questions in there that show it's interactive. Things like, which do you prefer, dogs or cats? Go on, Graham, what's your answer to that? Are you a dogs person or a cat person?
I love cats. Love cats.
Emma, I'm the same. I'm entirely and utterly a cat person.
Okay.
Yes.
And what about, would you rather wear a hat made of jelly or socks made of mashed potato?
A hat made of jelly, because it would wobble in a fun way, like the head of a turkey. I'd go for it.
Yeah, well, I would rather have the socks, because as a Scotsman, I would eat the potatoes.
This is brilliant. See? And these are the answers that I love. And these are in Cruiseship Kid, these kinds of questions. So if this doesn't get kids back reading, then, you know.
Emma, one of the things I wonder about is access to books. Whether that's problematic or whether actually something like Children's Capital of Culture can highlight the importance and power of books. Now, I know obviously there's book provision within schools.
Yes.
But they are costly things. You know, the most powerful tool that we can have as a child is our imagination, but you can't imagine a book. You can only imagine from reading the book. What's, to your experience and knowledge, what is access to books like around Rotherham? And I don't say it might be different from posh old Harrogate or whatever, but I wonder from your own experience, you know, whether actually that's something that is being taken care of, for example, with a festival like this.
Yes, yeah, I could not agree more. It's so important. And I think at the heart of that, obviously, buying books is wonderful if people can afford them. But libraries, the importance of our libraries is just, I think, they are the heart of our society. And there are, you know, Aston Library was a local library for me, so going in there really felt wonderful. But you know, the Sheffield libraries, it's just so important. And at the event I did the other day, there was another sort of charity called Grimm and Co. that were providing the books for my event. But then also, I was at the School Librarians Association recently as well, speaking about this. And
really?
And it was so wonderful to meet the librarians there. But the look of horror on some of their faces when I said this is an interactive book, Cruiseship. Because they were going, well, how do they share it? So I said, don't panic. Everything, my publisher is Usborne, and they're brilliant. And everything in the book is designed to, yes, if it's a book for an individual child in Cruiseship Kid, then they can write on the book directly. But it can also be done with a piece of paper. And I actually wrote in the beginning saying that if you are lucky enough to have got this book from a library, please use paper, because my dream is that there'll be a couple of copies of these in every library and then be able to be shared, because it's so important.
It used to be Joe Orton that used to deface library books, of course, famously when he was writing. And but yes, I'm glad you've come up with a solution to the obvious problem that technically would be there.
Yes.
Graham, your question.
Well, the great thing about libraries is they are the only medium where all that happens is reading. The thing about phones and laptops and the digital world is that at the same time that you could be reading books or reading articles or getting information, you're also sending personal messages, having arguments, buying things, being hit by adverts that pop up that want you to buy something. So it's not a medium for reading, really. The only medium that's solely devoted to reading is the library.
Yeah, that's correct, isn't it? The amount of distractions we have, the amount of, and I don't know about you guys, but when I was studying, I would try and force myself to go to the library just to work, because if I allowed myself to do an essay at home, you're right, I'd have bought something online, I'd have rang my mum, I'd have had too many snacks. So it is a nice focused area. And they also put on such wonderful events as well, you know, fun for kids, fun for, it's not just them all sat reading quietly. The librarians are interacting with them, asking what they're reading, getting authors to come in and do events. I got them singing the other day, and I thought, sorry to anyone concentrating, but
I've got to ask you why you feel that your love of Yorkshire tea, this addiction, is slightly unhealthy. It cannot possibly be unhealthy. It can only be good for you.
Yes, I am. You've definitely read my bio, and I drink too much Yorkshire tea.
Nonsense. It's impossible to drink too much. Tony Benn used to drink 15 cups of tea a day.
No way, really?
Yeah.
But when I do quite a few audiobooks, and when I'm in recording audiobooks, and when I do it, I will have so many. I feel I'm so caffeinated by the end of the day, but we need it, right?
Of course you do. Now, it mentions also award-winning comedian. So do you go up to Edinburgh Fringe? Do you perform on the circuit around Yorkshire? What do you do?
I have done. So, I used to write quite a few comedy songs, and and so I did the musical comedy awards and stuff. That was a bit pre-lockdown time, and that actually sort of inspired me to start writing for kids, because I was just loving. I really do like writing lyrics, and then thinking, hang on, these could work well in a funny children's book. So that But have you guys been to Edinburgh? It's so much fun, isn't it?
Oh, you're always every year, yeah.
Oh, you? Brilliant, yeah.
Splendid.
It's so great.
Excellent. Well, Emma, thank you so much for talking to us this evening. We really, really appreciate it. It's been a joy to have you on. And this book, remind us, is published by Usborne, I think, Usborne, Cruiseship Kid. And so please hunt that down. And I hope the rest of the year goes well, obviously, with the Rotherham Festival at the Children's Capital of Culture. And thank you for telling us all about it and introducing it to us. We really appreciate that. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Lovely to see you, Emma.
Bye.
Cheers, then. Bye now, Emma. Bye. Graham, right. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much to Emma for that. And so it's going to be...
She was great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I had no idea about this event at all, so it was interesting to learn. It's interesting that it is running at the same time as Bradford City of Culture. I wonder why that's been allowed to happen, but you can see that.
Come on, Charles, it's all happening in Yorkshire. Let's face it.
Let's be positive, Graham. You've come up with a positive element of that. So, Graham, this evening we're going to whiz through subjects. That is our challenge tonight. Whiz through subjects almost as much as the sound of the washing machine that was going on behind me as we were recording it. Hopefully that noise won't be coming through. So the first thing to discuss, Graham, tonight, this year's Edinburgh International Film Festival, we traded it last week saying they were about to announce the programme, and very excitingly, Ben Wheatley and Jeremy Thomas are both going to be involved in it. Tell me a little bit more about that, Graham.
Well, it's running from the 14th of August to the 20th of August in Edinburgh. First of all, the Filmhouse will be back and involved.
Yep.
As well as the Cameo, and also some screenings at View Omni Cinema, National Gallery of Scotland, and the Tollcross Central Hall.
Yeah.
And as well as there's 43 films in total, which is a bit more than last year, still as much as before the financial problems. And there's 18 world premieres, and there's some great films coming up. But what excites me, and I think what excites you about Edinburgh, is meeting filmmakers and film people, and going to the Q&As and the talks.
Yep.
And this year they've got Jeremy Thomas, the absolutely amazing British film producer of the last 40, 50 years, in discussion with Mark Cousins, our favourite former director of the International Film Festival and a great filmmaker in his own right.
Exactly.
And there's also an event with Ben Wheatley and his producing partner Andy Stark, where Ben talks about his new film, which is showing at Edinburgh, and all those great but weird, prescient films they made about Britain, like Sightseers and The Kill List.
Yeah.
And then also in the conversation strand, you've got the two great Scottish filmmakers with a pedigree in films going back to Trainspotting, Kevin MacDonald and his brother Andrew MacDonald, who's also now the chair of Edinburgh National Film Festival. So the new team behind the new version of the film festival after all these years, it may not be as big as before, but they're doing all the right things. They've got good judgment as to what the film festival's about and what will make it successful in future.
We are going up for the full festival this year, and can't wait. I mean, it's going to be very exciting, and we will reflect on it afterwards as well, of course, as we like to do. And I'm just thrilled as well that Edinburgh Film House will be involved. So pleased that it's reopening and can't wait to see it on its return. So it's we'll return to the subject of Edinburgh Film Festival, International Film Festival, obviously. So that's exciting news as to what's going to be happening, and we'll do more on that. Now, moving on swiftly. Last week we discussed both The Gang of Four, and we discussed the political filmmaker Adam Curtis, whose Shifty series, a remarkable series that we talked about in depth last week, as indeed we talked
BBC
about
iPlayer right now.
But BBC iPlayer, you will not be able to find it elsewhere. It's on iPlayer. It hasn't actually showed on the BBC other than on iPlayer, which is an interesting situation with it. And The Gang of Four we discussed because they performed maybe for the last time in Leeds, and Graham attended that. Now, in the weekend in between, you have found a link between the post-punk legends Gang of Four and the political filmmaker Adam Curtis. Rather alarmingly, you've written a real conspiracy. Graham, I love conspiracy theories.
Well, Adam Curtis films are all about conspiracies. They're all about the roots of problems, the roots of things that have gone wrong in recent British political, economic, cultural, social history. So his films are like one gigantic conspiracy theory. But if you look at his own past, there's a little bit of a potential conspiracy there because, and this is what has come from because I didn't find this out, my great friend James Littlewood, also co-conspirator in Charm Music events, Charm Music magazine for many years. Well, James got in touch after listening to the last episode, and he said, did you know that both the lead singer of Gang of Four, John King, and the lead guitar player and songwriter, Andy Gill, both of them went to the same school? And this is before Gang of Four met at Leeds University in the 1970s, when they were younger. Both of the main members of Gang of Four met when they were at Sevenoaks School in Kent. Now, Sevenoaks School in Kent is actually a prestigious public school.
It is.
And the reason that those two guys went there, and remember that Gang of Four were a very left-wing political group,
indeed,
still are, is because they both won scholarships. So they both won scholarships to go to this posh school. And then when they formed Gang of Four, they're still left-wing, almost like, even though they'd managed to escape their roots, they weren't going to forget that the system was still rigged in general against people like them, kids like them.
Yeah.
So they didn't forget their roots, even though they'd managed to get out of that situation. But when they were at Sevenoaks School, they were both members of an organisation called the Art Room, which is a sort of progressive, edgy, artistic group at that school. Try and guess who was at that school at the same time who was a member of the Art Room.
I'm going to surprise you by saying Adam Curtis.
Yeah, it wasn't that much of a surprise, was it? So he's also there in the same school at the same time with them. And they both end up becoming culturally important people, doing things of a vaguely left-wing persuasion. Also at the same time in the Art Room was future film director Paul Greengrass. And although Paul Greengrass, as you know, has made populist films like The Bourne Ultimatum, that Tom Hanks film Captain Phillips, he's also made serious films for TV about Bloody Sunday in Northern Ireland. He did one on the murder of Stephen Lawrence. So you can see that Sevenoaks posh school is produced the exact opposite of what it's supposed to produce. And so the roots of left-wing thinking that still exists go all the way back to those chance meetings at a posh school, which I think is like a conspiracy story of its own.
Well, it's interesting because, of course, we know going back to Cambridge and the Russian links to Cambridge, of course, legendary, back in the 50s and 60s, of course. So, intellectualism.
In the 30s, 20s and 30s.
And 20s and 30s too, absolutely. So intellectual left-wing intellectualism, that's the correct way around with that sentence, is long-running. But that's interesting to hear that, isn't it? So... Good. Well, I'm glad that actually it's alive and kicking in public schools is a reaction against privilege.
Exactly. That's
so,
what you want.
Graham, I'm alarmed. You know something about Alan Ayckbourn that I don't.
Oh yeah, you'll love this, Chaz. I mean, this is almost like your perfect thing.
And I don't know this exciting news. Share it with our listeners.
Well, everywhere in the north you go, there's more and more culture happening. Yes. So there's yet another new literature festival starting shortly. And it's at Whitby, which is called, obviously, the Whitby Literature Festival. And guess who's one of the main guests at the first ever Whitby Literature Festival?
So Alan Ayckbourn.
Alan Ayckbourn. Yeah, obviously, yeah. So there's about 40 authors taking part in this new event at venues across town, which runs from the 6th to 9th of November this year. And he's the main person there.
That's no. I mean, you'd think Whitby, therefore, is going to be Gothic literature is going to be at the heart of it. That's clearly not the case, though. It's wider ranging than that, presumably, to say the least.
Well, it is wide ranging, but Lewis Kirtland, the committee chair of Whitby Literature Festival, she's making a big deal of the fact that Whitby's got Whitby Abbey, the ruins of Whitby Abbey.
Exactly.
It's got the roots of Bram Stoker's Dracula. So they do know what they've got. They do know that Whitby has got this cultural, historical links to the origins of goth. Yeah. And they will make a lot of that, but yeah, they can't just trade on that. Otherwise, it would be the Whitby Goth Festival, not the Whitby Literature Festival. But they're not trying to ignore that past.
No,
but it will be wider than that for sure.
I think it's important to be wider than that. I don't think it wants to go down that comparatively narrow way. I mean, obviously we have Whitby Goth Festival already. We know the strong links with Whitby Abbey, and of course you can't ignore the Goth history of Whitby. Absolutely not. But so does it say exactly?
Some other names announced for already are Lee Child. Lee Child, the crime writer, is coming,
yes.
And also the broadcast barrister Rob Rinder.
Is my mind is correct in saying that Lee Child is also coming to Harrogate Literature Festival?
That's right. He's been many times before because he's such a big crime writer and it's such a great festival of crime writing, the Dixon's Old Peculiar Crime Writing Festival in Harrogate, and just coming up in about 2 weeks' time in Harrogate.
Does it say what Alan Ayckbourn will discuss?
No, but as you know, he's written a hell lot of plays, so it's not about
he's up beyond 90 plays now, Graham.
Well, you're going to hope he's going to not try and deal with them all because it's going to be a long show.
It's a heck of a long evening if he does, isn't it? So, Graham, we'll come to our last topic shortly, but just we were discussing last week, and we didn't quite complete our discussions on the play that I went to, which was Through It All Together. Which is subsequent to actually seeing the play, I've now interviewed the writer, Chris O'Connor, and I'm full of even more admiration about the play now because the work that he put into it, the research so thorough, but also the fact that Leeds Playhouse is at the forefront in matters of dementia, in terms of dealing with dementia in audiences, how they involve people with dementia in the theatre. Chris himself, incidentally, helps to run sessions with Heydays, which is the group at the Playhouse for older people. And all that fed into the play as well. And if it's still running for quite a while longer yet in Leeds, this is the play that's it interweaves together the story of Marcelo Bielsa bringing a godlike figure to Leeds United, and a Leeds United supporter played by Rhys Dinsdale, who I also interviewed this week, going through the early stages and then the middle stage of developing dementia. And it's written with such intelligence and instinct and understanding. It's both a celebration of Leeds United, which is maybe other clubs might wish to see things differently, but actually it's a play that could work, I think, being told about any club's fans. But above all, I think it's the play that handles the subject of dementia in a way that is, and Chris was at pains to point this out, that he didn't want it to be presented in the way that it's often been presented, both in television terms, including in soap opera. He wanted to bring a different dimension to the story, and I think he has achieved that. That's partly through Rhys Dinsdale's absolutely tremendous lead performance in the role of Howard Wright, and also Shobna Gulati playing his wife. It's Chris's understanding of dementia comes about through his grandmother's experience, in particular, an ongoing experience with dementia, and he's sort of drawn on that. And it's this understanding, I think. I mean, I obviously, I'm invested in that story from my father's journey with 7 years of dementia as well. But one of the things he wasn't frightened to show was that there are moments of humour within it as well. There are moments of lucidity, there are moments which are not, and there are moments when the lucidity comes back, and then there's a gradual descent, and he doesn't hide from that. he told me that he said one, and I'm not going to say which review it was because I don't know, felt that the story should have been taken to the conclusion of the death of Howard Wright, the character. And I think that's a complete misjudgment because you do not need that moment. We know where the story is going, and the significance is the last song is they've sung together. The lyrics of "Marching On Together" adapted to "We Love You, Sue, I Love You, Sue, Sue, Sue," which he's sung to his wife through all the years of being Leeds United fans together, and he sings it one final time in the play. And you know that at that point he's going to be going into a dementia care home. It doesn't need a story to go further than that. You've got to allow the power of drama at that point. You do not need to do the obvious thing that's
Also, the point of a story is to get the point across.
Yeah,
you don't have to take the story to its whole conclusion because that's not what a story is about. A story is about getting the point across. Once you've got the point across, you don't need to then carry on to the bitter end because it's just then it's just repeating what you already know, what the audience already knows.
Yeah. I asked Chris how early he came up with that ending, deciding to have them the husband and wife singing that part of the song, and he said that idea came to him very, very early. He knew that should be the ending. I think that's part of what makes this playwriting. And he's an experienced playwright. He's done a lot of work with Red Ladder, for example, the Leeds company. And I think that's one of the things that shows through in this piece as well. Just the last point about through it all together is to say to people, get there early and look at the exhibition. It's not a big exhibition, but there's a wall of information that's very well worth reading. Lots of quotes from different people, including Alan Peacock, a former Leeds United footballer. And it's just all part of actually how well this play has been put together. And it's a celebration of Leeds United, yes. It's also an awareness of dementia, which affects so many people, and it's handled in a way that I think is really, really well done. And I would urge Leeds United fans and non-Leeds United fans as well. You won't feel adrift in the play if you're not a Leeds United fan. If you're a football fan, you will understand the culture of football. Even if you're not, actually, you will still be drawn into the story because the human story, the dementia side of the story, draws you in as much as the story of football. So I can't recommend this piece highly enough. It's well worth seeing.
Good. It's great, Charles.
Yeah, our last topic for tonight is actually a kind of ongoing subject matter, which is 1 week now to go to the tribute to Chris Simpson and Magna Carta. This is the Harrogate musician Chris Simpson and the Harrogate folk musicians Magna Carta, and it's an event in Harrogate, Graham, that you're involved in. 1 week to go to it now. This is in its own way a very significant event. I mean, I don't imagine Chris has done this kind of talk for quite some time. A truly significant figure within the culture of folk music and where he took folk music. Maybe as with the book that you're writing as well, this is going to draw attention to in a way that hasn't happened as maybe it should have done, but actually to get the chance to listen to Chris talking about Magna Carta. That seems to me a pretty special event, Graham.
It's really about Harrogate recognising one of its own sons.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still famous abroad, but he hasn't been famous in Britain for a long time.
Exactly.
And the last time they actually played live in Harrogate, I believe, I'm pretty sure I'm right, was when he played for me in the first year of the Fringe, when I was running the Fringe for Harrogate National Festival in 2010. So he hasn't actually played or appeared in any public function at Harrogate since 2010. And he hasn't played anywhere in Britain, to my knowledge. I'm pretty sure he hasn't since 2020. And, he's not in the best of health now. So this is a rare chance for Harrogate to actually celebrate one of its own sons, who's a bit unrecognised in Britain now, but who's written so many great songs over so many decades without quite getting his just desserts. And so it's going to be a special night. We'll play a lot of Magna Carta. And Chris will talk a bit, but his health is bad. But it's great he's actually going to be out in public, and he's going to be recognised in public as well.
Are you leading the event, Graham?
Of course, yeah. Well, it's part of Vinyl Sessions,
yes,
which we've been doing for a long time.
Yeah.
So that's why the music aspect's there, and also raises money for the Harrogate Community Hospital charity.
Absolutely.
So it's a joint event between myself and Colin Payne from Vinyl Sessions.
And of course, Graham, Harrogate Community Hospital Radio, of course, links in with our podcast as well, of course, does it not? So.
Well, Well, Harrogate Community Radio also supports the hospital, but it isn't hospital radio. That's an entirely separate thing.
You've been listening to the podcast Two Big Egos in a Small Car. Your hosts were Graham Chalmers and Charles Hutchinson. This was a Baltic sub-production.